It all began during a highly anticipated congressional hearing broadcast live across the nation. Tensions were already high, with debates over national security, economic policies, and social justice spiraling into heated arguments. At the center of this political firestorm sat Congressman Tim Ramaswamy, a controversial and outspoken figure known for his sharp tongue and unapologetic demeanor. Facing him was Representative Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in progressive politics, celebrated for her intelligence, courtroom experience, and fierce dedication to justice. As the session moved forward, Ramaswamy, with his usual smug confidence, began steering the conversation into personal territory. "So, Congresswoman Crockett," he said, adjusting his mic and flashing a dismissive grin, "you keep talking about your experience in law and policy. But let's be honest, just being a defense attorney in some small courtroom doesn't exactly qualify as real leadership. Don't you think this arena is a bit too big for you?" The silence that followed was deafening. Crockett's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in focus. The entire room turned toward her, sensing that something monumental was about to unfold. Cameras zoomed in. Audiences across America leaned closer to their screens. Her voice, calm but steely, cut through the tension like a blade. "Let me make one thing very clear, Mr. Ramaswamy," she began. "I didn't inherit my seat. I earned it. I fought for justice in a courtroom where the stakes were often life and death, not just political brownie points. While you were busy building tech startups and padding your wallet, I was standing between the marginalized and a broken justice system, defending people who didn't have a voice." Ramaswamy chuckled sarcastically, but Crockett wasn't done. "I've represented victims of police brutality. I've worked to overturn wrongful convictions. I didn't just talk about justice, I lived it, every single day. And if you think that's small time, then maybe the problem isn't my experience. Maybe it's your ignorance." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Social media exploded within seconds. Clips of her statement hit Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube almost instantly, trending under hashtags like #CrockettClapsBack and #RamaswamyDestroyed. Pundits on both sides of the aisle were stunned. Tim Ramaswamy, who had built a political brand around boldness and controversy, had finally met his match, and she wasn't just answering back. She was rewriting the rules of engagement. The backlash against Ramaswamy was swift and brutal. Within 24 hours, several news outlets began publishing deep dives into Jasmine Crockett's legal career, highlighting her record of fighting systemic injustice and protecting civil rights. Former clients, fellow attorneys, and even former judges publicly came forward to defend her integrity and experience. "She was the fiercest advocate I've ever seen," said Judge Maria Ellington in an interview. If Mr. Ramaswamy thinks that's not real experience, then he clearly has no idea what public service really means. Meanwhile, Ramaswamy's own history came under renewed scrutiny. Critics pointed out his lack of public sector experience, highlighting how his political rhetoric often dismissed the lived realities of everyday Americans. Suddenly, his tech achievements and Wall Street ties, once seen as assets, were painted as proof of disconnection from the people he claimed to represent. His attempt to expose Crockett had backfired catastrophically. Even members of his own party began to distance themselves. "I respect differing views," said Senator Mitchell Clark, a fellow Republican, "but personal attacks based on someone's professional background, especially when that background is rooted in defending constitutional rights, were unacceptable." Town hall meetings in Ramaswamy's own district grew hostile. Protesters showed up at his offices holding signs that read, "Respect experience, stand with Crockett," and "Ramaswamy must resign." Facing mounting pressure, Ramaswamy issued a public apology during a CNN interview. "I may have spoken too hastily," he admitted. "I never intended to belittle Representative Crockett's service. I recognize the importance of her contributions to justice reform. But it was too little, too late. The damage had been done." Crockett, on the other hand, had become a national symbol of grace under pressure. Her calm yet powerful response was replayed across cable news and political podcasts for weeks. Fundraising for her campaign skyrocketed. Civil rights groups hailed her as a modern voice of moral clarity. By the next election cycle, the writing was on the wall. Ramaswamy's approval ratings had plummeted. His once loyal donor base began redirecting funds elsewhere. Eventually, He announced that he would not seek re-election, citing a need to step away and reflect. For many, the moment felt historic. Jasmine Crockett hadn't just defended herself, she had redefined what it meant to hold power in the halls of Congress. She proved that authenticity, lived experience, and moral conviction could defeat arrogance, even in the roughest political arenas. As the curtain fell on Tim Ramaswamy's political career, one message rang clear across America.